keep the conversation going. We're live, Jim. YSL 465. Let's see if we can keep this a little formal now. Where Jim and Jim and I better be careful because I'll say Jim and I, right?
Gemini.
Jim and I were discussing present day challenges, teaching, and energies. I guess energies. We pick up energies. People pick up our energies. So this is episode number 465. I want to welcome those of you on the international platform and around the world, especially those of you from California. Just a joke there. Pardon me. 7:30 today is what, October the 12th? 5 more days and I'll be 65. No, I'll have a birthday coming up, but I won't be 65. All right, so welcome, champions, to episode number 465 of Your Solution Live. I am Santos Rolon Jr. here, Stockton, California. We've got Jim with us, and we invited a few other hosts, but they're not with us. So Jim is all the way from Tucson, Arizona. And we want to welcome you to learning, growing, and mastering the self one day at a time. That's what we're going to talk about. We can achieve, we can do all kinds of stuff. We can set goals, but I think that we have to really work. The goal is you got to work on yourself. Quick reminder of the mission is Proverbs 4:23, and welcome those of you that are watching. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. That's Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. We've got 3 main talking points. We'll get through them really quick. All right. Type solution in the chat if you're interested and you're ready to grow tonight. Type solution in the chat there if you're ready to grow tonight. All right. Jim, by the way, I told my mirror I was going to change my ways. And the mirror said, good, I'm tired of seeing that same face every morning. So welcome those of you that are here. I want to, again, the super chat is open. The live chat is open. If you have a question, gambling is a big fat lie. Yes, you are stronger. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So, Jim, tell us a little bit about before Jim, wow, the numbers are way high. Welcome, all of you. The incredible numbers here right now on YouTube. Jim, tell us what happened. You weren't teaching before the podcast. And by the way, we're talking the point number 1. We want to bring this up here. Let me see. Before I do this, let me read something real quick. I wanted to let me see, where am I here? I wanted to read the proverb for today. Did I read the proverb? No, I didn't. Let me get to that real quick. It's in here somewhere. I think I got to go down the page. All right. Yes, it is. I did read it, didn't I? Commit thy heart. Yes. All right. We got started with that. All right. Number 3, point of interest number 3, Jim. I want you to share. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. There we go. Okay. Your solution starts within you. Self-awareness brings freedom. Self-awareness brings freedom. Jim, before you were on this podcast, I know that you're a teacher. You've been a teacher before. But what has been how did you start? What made you think go back into teaching?
Well, I mean, like the bike building and the online selling is okay, but it got kind of tedious and lonely. You know what I mean? And with these tariffs, it's kind of unstable. So I thought, you know what, that's, and
Okay.
let me see if I can juggle both things at a time. And it seems like it's working okay. You know, I mean, like I'm tired all the time. Um, but it's nice to be back in the classroom. It's nice to have interactions. I
It's
mean,
something different.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, like I'm dealing with people again.
Yeah.
Before I was all by myself, all by myself. Yeah, I deal with customers, I deal with, you know, um, clients, I deal with suppliers, but I mean, it's just kind of transactional, It's so
But
I mean, what do I like about teaching? I like um I like helping the students. I like I guess speaking my mind in a positive way. It's like you have this platform,
yeah.
to go out and spread positive messages. And at school, I have captive
Stay
audience.
on. I'll be right back. Keep sharing.
Yeah, I
Because
have
I also
captive
want to ask you this,
audiences.
Jim. There's been some kind of an impact from people on this platform with you. Want you to kind of share that. Let me get some water. I'm going to be right back. Go ahead. Keep
Okay.
sharing, Jim.
Yeah, sure. So with students, middle schoolers, I think it's an opportunity to help them kind of bring about that kind of self-awareness, a different mindset. Um, I see a lot of students struggling with their academics, feeling bad about themselves. We had a parent-teacher conference. Oh, I think that was last month. And one student, I asked this one student, how do you feel? It's like sometimes you have difficulty on these assignments. How do you feel? She just broke down in tears, just broke down in tears, and she said, I feel like I'm so stupid. Just felt really, really bad about herself. And I gave her a hug. I says, you know what? We have a choice. We have a choice. We can go ahead and choose to think one way or another, right? Sometimes we just get so conditioned. We're looking at other students, peer pressure, expectations from parents, expectations from teachers. And when you're not measuring up, you feel bad about yourself and you feel incapable of improving or doing better. And I identify with that kind of stuff because we've all been through that kind of feeling, just feeling bad about ourselves.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we have the awareness to go and say, "Hey, look, we have a choice. We have a choice, of how we see ourselves, how we act and respond to circumstances and situations. We can kind of wake up. Yeah, we can be rattled by the situation, by the circumstance, but you know what? We can take a deep breath and say, whoa, let me go ahead and stop and think, take a deep breath, all right? You know, what is the right way of dealing with this situation? What is the right way? How can I be my best self? How can I rise above? We talk about tools, right, Santos? We talk about
So we
tools.
have to, let me ask you this, Jim.
Mhm.
Speaking about tools and speaking about self, what is the thing that needs to be worked on the most?
Um,
Is it your
I think
goal or is it you as an individual?
I
Um,
think knowing I like to put inspirational quotes of the day on my bellwork, and one of them was one of the greatest sources of wisdom is knowing yourself. And I think that came from I don't know Socrates or Aristotle, I forget, but yeah, knowing yourself.
it's
If
also in
you
the
can go and
Bible.
add, yeah, we talk about self-awareness, right? We talk about that. We talk about choices. We talk about, feelings. Where these feelings come from? Do I like them? Do I have a choice to deal with them? I mean, having that kind of insight, and that kind of light to shine on, the students, I think is is pretty good. I I like to go ahead and reprimand students with positivity.
Yeah.
Positivity. I like to go and
Re-
say, "You're better than that. You're better than that."
yeah.
And
Reverse psychology. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, whoa, that sounds kind of strange. It's like he sounds stern, but he's giving me positive, positive encouragement.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to go and do that kind of stuff with the students.
They're not used to.
But yeah,
Yeah, they're not. Most people are not. 97% of the population, they're used to the negative. We're u-
right,
we're
yeah.
we're used to the negative most of the time, even within ourselves. And what I want to share with those that are watching here, we have I have available tools for you on the other side. If you feel stuck, you feel you might need some kind of support, private support. You might need a short little ebook to read, a 10-minute ebook to read. And then again, we have a quick guide for those that want to walk away from gambling, or maybe you just want to get control. Because in actuality, you really need to just get control of yourself, right? Once you get control of yourself, you can decide whether you want to quit gambling or not. You may try to quit gambling, but you don't have any control, self control, and that's what we're talking about here. Self awareness brings freedom, and you can't fix what you don't face.
One important, uh, I guess, I think one important thing to note when you are being self-aware is, how do you see yourself, right? How do you see yourself? And sometimes when we don't want to look at ourselves because we're afraid of having to deal with what we see, you see. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't want to really know about themselves because maybe they don't know how to handle it. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm stupid, or yeah, I'm disabled. Yeah, I have this addiction, right? I have trauma, right? But I don't know. I don't want to admit I have anger problems or I have emotional problems because you in the back of your mind you say I don't know how to deal with it, right? So oftentimes we don't want to have that kind of self-awareness and we don't want to look at ourselves. But I think it's the first step, right? To have that kind of courage.
self
And then,
awareness, and
right, and
man,
how do you handle yourself? How do you choose to handle yourself after you look at yourself and be honest with yourself? That's very important. You can go crazy, you can get depressed, you can get angry, right? But then you have to go and make a decision. What are you going to do about yourself? What are you going to do, right? And it comes down to that choice. That's that choice. And I think one of the important things is being around people, having something to go to in order to have that motivation, right? Everyone needs that kind of motivation, that encouragement and support to have positive change transformation. And that's why people come to your program. It's something to go to, right? It's
we need
it's like
reminders.
it's a reminder. It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
like Sunday's coming. What's happening on Sunday? Oh, geez, it's Santos's program. What's the point of the program? It's addiction. Oh my gosh, I need to go out and be focused, right? What am I doing to take care of my addiction? What am I
YSL.
doing to take care of myself? Right? That kind of stuff.
You
You see.
a person can be addicted to too much organization.
Mhm. Yeah, that could be. It's like, why do I organize so much? Am I being a procrastinator? Am I trying to avoid something? Am I distracting myself with so much organization that I'm not really dealing with my problems, the things that I'm avoiding? I look at myself, right? Why do I,
Yeah,
why did I
this
read so much before? Instead
this
of doing
leads
so
us,
much.
Jim. This leads us into point number two. Let's go into that point number two because um um let me see where I'm at here. Section number two here. Point number two is that action creates change. I have a reference here in the book of James. I always point to the Bible because the Bible for me is my foundation. So the reference is James chapter 1 verse 22. It says, "Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, And I'll be the first one to say that I wish I can practice everything down the pike 100%. I wish I could. I pray about it, but I really wish I could, but I know that I can't. So that could be a defeat. That could be a limit to myself, right? I could focus on that big time. Instead, I'm going to focus on God's word. Talk about small steps daily. Um, I I gotta say this because as men, we need to get back to just getting away from stuff. Sometimes we might need to drive for an hour or go 2 hours or a weekend and get away from all of it and just reflect, right? Reflect. It's you by yourself with you, and you just go get out of the maybe get out of your city if you have to reflect. How often are you doing this? Man, I want to do this more often, right? I try to do it. It's very healthy, but sometimes we neglect that.
Yeah. I'm thinking of something that's kind of like a little bit different. I mean, you're giving yourself an opportunity to reflect, and I'm thinking about, how do we spend every moment of our thoughts? Are we thinking intentionally? Are we thinking with purpose? Every thought that we, make and every action that we do, like you said, going off on a drive and having an opportunity to reflect. That's intentional. How, and I'm speaking to myself, how often am I using my time to use every moment to think intentionally instead of just thinking about random nonsense, garbage, fillers, distractions,
Yeah, yeah.
excuses, emotions, anger, all that kind of stuff, you know? I mean, I remember, hearing the idea of, you're overthinking things. You're overthinking things. And yeah, that could be, a problem. That could be its
Yeah.
own distraction. But, being able to be aware of that and asking yourself, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I thinking the things that I'm thinking? Is it good for me or is it bad for me? And
Awareness.
what are you gonna do about it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You got
I
to
mean,
get
like,
you have to get out of the problem. Sometimes we're too focused on the problem. Like I get messages from good people that tell me that they're having a problem quitting gambling, right? So I know that it's really not the gamble. The problem isn't the gamble. Yet somehow they're stuck there.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people are there. They're stuck there. It's because another thing is psychologically, man, the world, the machinery, the system has a way of getting into your head. You talked about it earlier. You said the word distractions. In fact, the Bible in Matthew chapter 24 in the New Testament, Jesus spoke about deception. Beware deception. He said, uh, that's one of the things to watch out for is deception. And what is deception? Deception is anything that tries to pull the wool over your eyes. And
Yeah,
if you're not careful subliminally things could be taking place without you're not really being aware of these things happening. Um, this is really frightening because uh, I never realized that the human mind can be taken over in that way, and those of us that have awareness to understand, if you understand what is going on in your life, see, you may not be able to understand what's going on in everybody else's life. When you understand what's going on in your life inside you're in a good place, right? You're in a good place because you can work on you. There's a lot of people trying to work on somebody else, you know, their partner, their child, the child working on the parent, the grandparent working this, and so getting away, reflection, action creates change. I was able to get away this weekend and go visit to my the pier where I used to work when I was in the military in the Navy, and there's a big ship there, and I thought, wow. And I had all kinds of reflections when I was there. I remember I reported for duty. It was sometime in April, July of 1985, right? My first time in California. And I was just thinking how lost I was when I got to California from Chicago. I was lost. I'm going on board a, a 90 tons of steel ship where there's going to be 5,500 men on that, 5,500 men. And I'm thinking, and I was like probably 112 pounds, 112 pounds, little Ricky recruit I was. And I thought, man, when I saw that massive ship, I thought, how am I going to get around this ship? I was lost. And if you've ever been on an aircraft carrier inside, you can understand what I'm saying. Eventually, after 4 years, you kind of pick up the routes, and you got to pick up the routes. You have to know what you're doing, right? You're running up and down halls, going up and down staircases, stairwells. And I thought, man, that massive taking that action, going on the ship and learning that sea life and going out to sea, turned me into a sailor, turned me into what they call a shellback. But I remember the first time, man, going there, and I was scared. I didn't, are you going to learn your way around the ship? All this stuff. And anyways, we're talking about change. We're talking about reflection. We're talking about taking action. Anyways, what did my Navy days have anything to do with with any of this? I was just thinking. It's just interesting. Anyhow, uh, I do want to thank those of you that are here. There's a few watching. I can see the numbers. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. If you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do so. I think it would be good for you. We're not going to be here too much more longer because I'm only running out of time, and we've got another point of interest here. But I wanted to say this here before we get Jim back talking about the energy of the people in his classroom, because we do pick up energy. Um, they say money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a good coffee. And that's close enough on a Monday morning, which is coming. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker. I like coffee once in a while. It's okay. It's okay. But, anyways, I think that was a little bit of a. The better one is I told my mirror I was going to change my ways. It said, good. I'm tired of seeing the same face every morning.
Mhm.
So,
You know,
what about the classroom? We got to learn. We got to be willing to practice. We got to be willing to undo some things. We got to be willing to practice some new things, and there may be some new energies that we have to maybe take in and or move away from. You're teaching in a classroom. What's that feel like? You've got students in there. There's energy going on in there.
oh
You're
yes,
going.
yeah. One thing I do like being in front of the students.
Mhm.
I do like to have an opportunity to communicate to them, um, all that I know. And I mean, like we have structure, there's structure. And when you get familiar with the routine, you get better and better and better at it, and you get more confident with it. And when you become better and go over and over again, right? You have an ability, at least for me as a teacher, to kind of pass my philosophy on to the students. You know, um,
Mhm.
and I tell the students, the things that I tell you, I'm not really trying to help you. I'm trying to help myself. I tell the students, like, if you get something out of this conversation, that's
Yeah.
great. But I'm helping myself as I'm trying to help you. You always say that as well. You know, I mean, the things that, the discipline of teaching um, is uh, is 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 something that you have to be on. You have to be locked in, especially at my school. I feel that there's high expectation at this school that I teach.
Yeah.
And I mean, I tell you, when I wake up, it's like, the switch is on. I mean, it's like my thoughts, my focus is going to be, on what I need to go out and do to have everything ready for the students and be prepared. Um, it's
It's
important to me, to be prepared. And, for me, it's important because I'm a kind of like a person who unfortunately, it's a characteristic. It's like I feel that I need to be in control, because I have difficulty controlling inside, you see. So I need to make sure I can go and control the external as much as I can, you know. Do I have all my lesson plans ready? Is everything set? Do I have all my materials? Is this set up? What do I need to have ready for these students? I anticipate this happening. And for me, it's a lot of pressure because it's like, I inside, if something doesn't go right, you know, it's freaking out in here. Inside, freaking out.
yeah.
The anxiety, the panic, the bad feelings. So I mean, it's like that's probably one thing that I need to go and work on. Is to accept when things don't go right or when you have challenges, because teaching can be stressful. It can be stressful.
Yeah. But that's what keeps you alive too. Those butterflies and
Yeah.
that stuff. Because if it was really boring and dead, you probably wouldn't want to be there. So maybe some of
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
is there to stimulate you, I
In a
guess,
way.
be to keep you.
Right, the
Um.
pressure gets you going.
So and point number three, because we're coming close to the edge here. We're coming close to the end. The faith fuels the journey. Without faith, there's no forward motion. Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. The Bible says in Hebrews 11, they that come to God, they must believe that He is a rewarder. But the faith that we're talking about in the Bible is much more. It's salvation. It's salvation in this life because it has to do with this life that we're in. And when I say salvation, sometimes we need an invisible force. Sometimes we need, and not sometimes, I believe we all need it at one point or another. We need an invisible hand from somewhere. But you have to understand where that invisible hand comes from, right? It's one thing to get help from an invisible hand and figure, well, wait a minute, where that invisible hand came from. Maybe I don't want to know. I want the invisible hand of God to operate in my life. I know that in this world, there's too much trickery, man. There's too much deception. There's too many people. There's too many. And sadly to say this, I'm not biased against women, even though I've been accused of this. There's a lot of women out there that will take advantage of men, and vice versa. There's men out there that will take advantage of women too. So we have to navigate through all of that, and we have to achieve certain goals, right? But you're not going to achieve certain goals if you're all caught up in yourself, if you're in your own little prison, if you're not, if you're battling with gambling, I look at gambling as a very small thing today because it really is. It's not the problem. The card playing isn't the problem. The problem is what you were taught when you were 7 or 8 years of age by your uncles and your father and your aunties that were Italians. And I've heard this story because it happened to send somebody to prison. As a little boy, they took you around and they showed you the card games. And you picked that up from a long time ago. And now you find yourself in prison because you had problem gambling with the cards and you lost your profession, you lost your money, your family. See, you're not dealing with the game. It's way back. There's something else deep rooted that's caused that. And if those things aren't figured out, you keep running into the same problem. I think you keep running into the same thing. Am I wrong here, folks?
Yeah, one of the things that I can identify with, I guess, individuals who have maybe problems with gambling or addiction. I mean, you know, I was telling you about how when I wake up, it's like it's time to go. It's time to go. And you're always on, you're always on, you're always on, right? Until at the end of of school, when I'm walking out, it's like it kind of shuts off. And that is probably when I'm most vulnerable to trying to seek the comfort zone. For me, it's like I could exercise, I could go out and eat right, but I don't do that. I don't do that. That's one of my problems or my challenges, when I'm working at school is that I eat badly. It's like I want to feel comfortable, right? So I go to the foods that are not, best for me. I I mean, like I should do some exercise, but I don't because I want to feel comfortable, I guess. And I think I can identify with those who have, some type of addiction. We all have addictions, but I mean, it's like, being in that place where it's like I want to escape this stress. I want to escape, this feeling, and whether it be gambling or alcohol or YouTube or whatever it is, I mean, this that kind of place where you can relax and escape, is a very powerful thing. It's a powerful thing, and you got to be real. You have to have a plan, a system. I think, what I mean. If I had somewhere to go to after school, if I had people to meet up with, they'll keep me accountable, right? They'll keep me accountable. But the thing is, I need to go and take the action to put myself in that position. Just
Yeah.
doesn't happen, I guess
Yeah.
knowing yourself, me knowing myself, as I see the situation, I say, yeah, look, this is where you at after school every day. Keep on being in that position of those feelings, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing this alone, it's going to be very difficult for you to go and make a change unless you really, really make a decision. And if you know yourself saying that, I can't do this alone, right? I need help. I need some type of system or structure to move me away from these bad habits and put me in a situation where I'm going to, do better, do the right things. I mean, like, well, I'm sure a lot of people who are on this channel finish work and, they're going down the freeway and the casino's right there. The casino's, off that exit, you know? So easy to get off that exit and just relax over there, right? And you lose all your money and your paycheck, et cetera, et cetera. And you
Yeah.
just,
And you need to
it's like,
get
why do I do this, right?
you need to recognize, right? You have a choice. When
Mhm.
anytime it this is I'm speaking to somebody here tonight. Anytime that you have a temptation, a trigger, a moment, anger issue, road rage, too much steroids, too much of something, you have a choice. You have a choice. Your choice might be clouded. You have a choice, though. And see, this is where we need to get to that place where we see the choices instead of the cloud or the confusion, the FT, if you will, right? The focus thief, whatever it might be. Whatever that FT might be, it could be something that you physically see or something you don't physically see. Gaining self awareness getting to that place where you know that you're becoming stronger. There's a goal, there's some things that must be done, yet you can't do those things until you know you first, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, I think it's
actions,
important to.
actions, yeah, actions, where faith fuels the journey. Without faith, there's no forward motion. All right. Listen, folks, if what we've shared here, we got a few more minutes. If this message has touched you, share it with one person tonight. Share the message, share the broadcast. Thank you for, I've never had so many thumbs up. Thank you for all of those thumbs up. If you want to donate to this mission, you can do so. $7. There's a free ebook, mind stimulation there. There's another ebook I just created, MMPC book, mind mouth power whatever you want. It's MMPC. We've got a 3 point, okay, 3 point quick guide that's going to help you when if you're ready. Believe me, it's going to charge you. This PDF it's going to challenge you, and it is going to charge you because it's like black and white. And Jim knows what I'm talking about. The PDF there is for those that are ready, and it could be for something else. It doesn't have to necessarily be for gambling. It could be for something else. I recommend watch that thing. Those are private videos. You're not going to find them anywhere else. They're not on YouTube. I mean, they're private videos. Nobody else can watch them except you once I send them to you, PDF. So that's available. I just asked for $7 for the mission. If you can do that. Other than that, we're just going to continue to go forward. Every Sunday, Lord willing, we might include a day during the week. And if you need to speak with somebody, listen. If you need help, if you're on the other side and you need help, get support. Don't stay where you're at. Don't try to fight this thing by yourself. Maybe you've tried and you can't. Don't do it by yourself, men, even women. Don't try to do it by yourself. If you tried, let's humble yourself, like it says here. Let's come to God with faith, believing. So I'm asking for support, and I want to thank you for being here. I do want to thank you for being here tonight. But let me remind us here. Again, this is about learning, growing, and mastering the self, one day or maybe one episode at a time, maybe one Sunday at a time. Lord willing. I'm excited to be here. We're almost done. Monday's coming. I don't know. I seem to like Mondays and Tuesdays. Weekends slow down too much for me, you know. So, um, go ahead, Jim. Share your piece there.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about being self-aware, we have to be self-aware of our emotions because it's those emotions that get us into trouble, right? For me, feeling tired, feeling, it's like wanting to relax, wanting to turn off, right? Wanting to escape, right? Our emotions. Do we feel stressed? Do we feel angry? Right? All those kinds of things kind of direct us. Some people have urges, right? That urge to go to your habit, right? Trying to really get to know where is this coming from? Why does it come? Right? When does it happen? Right? And once you start figuring, what's going on with your emotions, your feelings, you know,
Emotional
uh,
intelligence.
right? Then you can, and your energy too. It's like when am I most vulnerable? Am I most vulnerable like when I have the least amount of energy, when I'm tired, right? Does my fatigue get me down? Does it make me depressed and draw me towards my addiction? Those are the things that we need to be aware of. Okay, it's like, yeah, I'm entering the danger zone right here. It always happens in the evening, right? After work. It always happens, when I'm around these family members or these coworkers, right? I get angry or emotional anxiety, right? These kinds of things, pop up, right? Right? And it's leading me somewhere, right? I need to go ahead and start dealing with the stuff. Maybe I can't get rid of them, but maybe I can go and kind of work a system that can go and prevent me from doing or making bad choices. Making bad choices. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean, just like I said, I mean, like, when you're when you're all alone, right? You're vulnerable maybe because, you have all this freedom to go to that, to that casino, right? It's like
Choices.
it's always going to be after work. It's always after Friday. I mean, I got to go ahead and figure out a system, to go and stop this. Who can I call? Who can I meet up with to distract me from that place? That's something to look forward to. We got to
Thank.
have something to look forward to.
Yeah, you have to. You
Something
have
to look
like
forward to.
getting away, or incorporating something. By the way, I thank you. I see somebody did purchase a super sticker. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. The support there that you've given. Um, may God bless you for that. May God's grace shine upon you, whoever you are, and give you the courage to step up and step out, friend. Thank you for that. I really appreciate you for doing that. Whoever it was, I'm not sure what's happening, but I can't see the chat. I don't know if anybody's chatting, but somebody had left a super sticker here, and I just want to acknowledge you, whoever you are. And again, thank you for the likes. I come to this broadcast and I'm humbled, folks. Okay, I'm humbled. I do my best to share what I feel God would put upon my heart to share with you on Sunday. And so I come here also to learn and be encouraged, and I'm humbled. So thank you. Not from the bottom, but from the top. People say, well, hey, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Man, where's the bottom? The bottom is where all the gasoline and all the crust and all the debris collects down in there. You want the top, right? The cream rises to the top. So I appreciate you from the top. There you go. Jim, last words, and we're going to be back here again Sunday, Lord willing. YSL Sunday, 7:30 p.m. next Sunday. We'll have another broadcast. We'll be discussing self improvement, self mastery, self awareness. Gambling is a big fat lie, folks. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, just to go and say that everything takes time, effort, and energy, right? Change, intentional thinking, intentional feeling, right? Intentional focus, intentional action, right? It takes
Yep.
time, effort, and energy, right? So you got to go and be willing to put in, all right, in order to get out. So make that decision, okay? Make that decision. I'm willing to commit. I'm willing to go and put the time, effort, and energy to learn about myself, figure myself out, and make a plan and a system to move me in a better direction because you're worth it, all right? That you have to give in this world for yourself and other people, right? So, take those extra steps, you know, and I think you'll go ahead and once you start moving, you're going to go ahead and feel some momentum build up. You're going to go ahead and feel it's like, and that's going to go out and give you encouragement. That's going to give you some confidence, and it'll give you that courage to, take the next step, right? And keep
Exactly.
on coming to this show. Keep on coming to this program. Have something
Yeah,
to
we
look
invite
forward
you to
to.
come back. That's right. Come back
Hmm.
on Sunday. Well, Santos, it's a little boring. It's okay. You'll learn something. It's boring and snoring. It's
Hmm.
pouring. All right, folks. With that said, thank you, Jim, all the way from Tucson, there, Arizona. I'm out in Stockton, California. This was YSL 465, I believe. And we're done. We'll see you guys next Sunday, Lord willing, or during the week. Jim, thank you once again. Peace and strength, friends.
Thanks, Santos. Have a good week. Take care. Bye bye.